he got manipulated that easily. He's such a spoiled little child. The minute you mention his toy, which is the rallies, he's like, no, my rallies are bigger than your rallies. Come on, you're running for president, brother. Be a little bit bigger than that. But he can't help himself. He's a tiny, weak man. That's why he was baited so easily. His mind is weak.
Cenk Uygur was a guest on Piers Morgan's show, Piers Morgan Uncensored, to discuss the debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. The panel was made up of progressive Taylor Cohen, as well as MAGA right-wingers Michael Knowles and Tomi Lahren. As you can imagine, this was pretty entertaining. To see Cenk Uygur go up against these couple of far-right wingers, as well as Piers Morgan himself, who swears that he's not MAGA, but he is. Things were entertaining. It got heated at times. I'm going to show you clips of that, and I will share my thoughts as well. Let's check it all out.
Well, joining me now is the host of Tomi Lahren is Fearless on Outkick, Tomi Lahren, host of the Michael Knowles Show, Michael Knowles, founder and CEO of the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur. Taylor Swift was sadly unavailable, and host of No Lie with Tyler Cohen, Brian Tyler Cohen. So, Cenk, you're the only one without your name on the title. What's the matter with you?
Because our network is gigantic. It's not just about me.
Let me start with you, Cenk, because you've repeatedly called me a Trump sympathizer, a Trump whisperer, a Trump supporter, all these ridiculous things. I'm very happy, as I tweeted earlier, to say to you that I think Kamala Harris not only won the debate last night, she won it quite comfortably. And I was very surprised by that. I thought she began nervously, but grew in confidence. Trump started confidently and then pretty much lost the plot and responded to a lot of her deliberate goading in entirely the way she would have hoped. So I think it was a big win for Kamala Harris. It may not move the needle in the immediate aftermath in terms of the election, but in terms of momentum and in terms of what happened to the Democrats after the last debate, you've got to say it was a good night.
Yeah, Piers, look, in your intro, you're fair and you're right. Kamala Harris definitely won and Donald Trump clowned himself. But you're kind of rooting for Trump and you could tell that you were disappointed in how it went. So I get it. You guys are friends. It's okay.
I'm actually, you've always miscategorized. Just to be clear, I'm not disappointed. I genuinely thought he was going to win. They're different things. And he didn't win. And that's a
Piers Morgan always seems to protest a bit too much in his love for Donald Trump, or at least his friendship for Donald Trump and wanting him to win. I've gotten a lot of comments from people in the UK saying that Piers is clearly a right-winger, even though that he swears he isn't. If you live in the UK and you're very familiar with Piers Morgan, make sure to leave me a comment and let me know if you think he's MAGA or not.
A problem for Trump and a good night for Kamala Harris. And so they're different things. You know, I don't have a horse in the race. I can't vote for anybody. I do know Trump way better than I know Kamala Harris. But I'm always trying to be fair. I've told you this before, and I think I'm being fair now when I absolutely say Kamala won.
Yeah, I hear you. Look, it's your bias, whether it's slight or significant, is irrelevant. Don't sweat it, okay?
I'm not biased.
You know what, Piers? I pardon you. Okay.
All right, let's move on.
So seriously, look, I was on here after the Biden-Trump debate, and I said Biden got annihilated, and he did, right? You have to be fair and objective, and I think you were in the intro here. There's no question that Trump got annihilated here. And MAGA has the same problem that the establishment has. The establishment thinks that everybody thinks like them, and they think, oh my God, doesn't everybody love the status quo? No, the overwhelming majority of the country constantly wants change because their lives are not as good as the millionaire anchors on television. But television anchors just cannot get that through their heads, right? And they love corporate rule, but the rest of the country doesn't. And MAGA has the same problem because they think, oh, doesn't everybody know that Haitian immigrants are eating cats and dogs? I saw an out-of-context video online that right-wing media told me was Haitians. Oh, that's it. All the immigrants are eating cats and dogs. Look, MAGA, you're not getting it. No one else thinks that. First of all, it's not true. The local cops say it's not true. Everybody says it's not true. But not only that, the rest of the country doesn't think like you. So when you say stuff like that, you sound unhinged. When you insist Trump still won the election as Trump did last night, you sound unhinged. When you talk about post-birth abortions, that's not a thing that exists. I know in your mind you think it does, but A, it doesn't. In objective reality, that's just called murder. And there is no such law in America at all. Right-wing media lied to you through and through and tricked you. But most importantly, the people that are going to decide this election are not MAGA, are not establishment. They're guys in the middle. And when they see Trump talking about eating cats and dogs and executing babies, he looks nuts, and it drives them all into Kamala Harris's arms. So if you're MAGA, you should be furious at Trump tonight.
Okay.
And I'm going to stop right here for just a second. Cenk Uygur is exactly right with what he's saying, that all of these crazy conspiracy theories from the right-wingers and from MAGA, normal people look at all of this and just think it's nuts. And that's why the Republicans are weird. Memes and hashtags and all of that are doing so well because normal people look at the Republicans and see them as weird. And it's incredible to me, you have Donald Trump, a former president, and if this guy weren't such a clown, he could have access to basically anybody he wanted to. And he could, rather than sharing these conspiracy theories because he saw somebody talk about it on TV or he read about it online, he could call the mayor of Springfield, Ohio, or any of the other authorities there and just say, hey, what's going on with this? I heard about this. Can you explain this? And they would say, it's not real. But Donald Trump is a moron and a clown, so he doesn't do any of these things.
For today.
Let me go to Tomi first on this. Tomi, I want to play that clip where he talked about the Haitian migrants eating pets. Let's take a look.
What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
The thing is, Tomi, that should have been a home run for Trump, right? This is absolutely his wheelhouse. She was the border czar. She's dropped the ball massively. That's all he had to say. But going down this ridiculous conspiracy rabbit hole of migrants eating everyone's pets, which had already been discredited, certainly there's no actual evidence to prove it at the moment. It just seemed, as Cenk says, he sounded a bit nuts. And he lost the momentum of what should have been a home run.
I don't disagree that he missed a huge opportunity to hold her to account on the border invasion that happened on her watch. She didn't answer why she let 10 million plus in. That was a question she was asked that she dodged, because the low-hanging fruit is to talk about the bipartisan border bill. But I don't disagree with you. Trump had an opportunity to hold her feet to the fire, and he didn't do it. Now, I will also say this. If Donald Trump wanted to talk about Springfield, Ohio, or Aurora, Colorado, or other communities that are being devastated by mass immigration of foreign nationals, he could have taken that opportunity, because it's a very real thing that's happening. Sanctuary cities are going broke and bankrupt, taking care of millions of people that have been thrown into their communities that refuse to assimilate. He could have discussed it in that way, because these communities are being devastated, and you have people at city council meetings that are quite frankly talking about it. But he chose to go a different route. I wish he had not done that. I wish he would have taken the bait. There's no doubt he took the bait, he took the hook, he took the line, he took the sinker, he took the entire frickin' boat. And I am frustrated by that, and I am intellectually honest enough to say it. I wish he had not done that. He missed several opportunities last night, but that does not change the fact that Kamala Harris's record, both in 2020 and 3.5 years in office, is abysmal. I wish he would have focused on that.
Now, there's not a lot that I typically would agree with Tomi Lahren on, but she is correct here on one thing, and that is her saying that Donald Trump was wrong to talk about this conspiracy theory stuff. Here's the problem, and a lot of other right-wingers have been doing this. They know that Donald Trump is blowing the election. He's going to lose, it looks like right now, to Kamala Harris. They want him to stay on issue and talk about the policies and all that. They don't have policies that are popular with the American people. But what they don't really seem to get is that Donald Trump can't do that. The guy is a moron and a lunatic, and he can't talk about the issues and the policies. He wants to talk about all of his grievances and conspiracy theories and what race Kamala Harris is, and call her names and say that she's stupid and all these things, because this is the guy that he is. He can't stick to issues. He's an idiot.
Yeah, I agree. Let me bring in Michael, actually, on this as another conservative here. Were you disappointed when that debate finished, that Trump played it the way he did?
I thought it finished strong. I felt that Trump's closing statement was excellent. I agree with you, Piers. He should have given the closing statement probably as the introductory statement. I thought Trump did very well for the first 20 or 25 minutes. I thought that was a pretty clear victory. And then when Kamala, quite good at manipulating people, was able to get him to fall for the trap on the crowd sizes, that did throw things. However, that was also when the moderators stepped in, the so-called moderators. And so you really did have a 3-on-1 debate at that point. There were missed opportunities, but Cenk earlier mentioned that President Trump said all sorts of things that aren't true. And the example he used was the notion of post-birth abortion, the notion that babies are killed through abortion after birth. And Lindsay Davis, who was one of the so-called moderators, made this point when she fact-checked Trump. But she was wrong, and Cenk is wrong, and this is really happening. And the irony of it is that one of the chief proponents of killing babies who survive abortion after birth is Kamala Harris's own running mate, Tim Walz. This is not difficult to look up. Within the past couple of years, Governor Walz in Minnesota repealed legal requirements that would force doctors who have babies who have survived abortions to provide medical care for them as they would to any other patient. So that is happening. When President Trump quoted the Democrat governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam, who said that after a baby is born, if the mother doesn't want it, they'll have a conversation with the doctor, see what they're going to do. That's on tape. You don't need to take my word for it. You can go watch it on tape. So there were multiple instances of the moderators intervening and lying on Kamala's behalf, and then they never at any point fact-checked Kamala's lies. So I agree. I'm not saying it was the greatest performance ever. I think there were a number of missed opportunities from President Trump. I suspect his campaign advisors told him not to get aggressive. I thought it was crazy that he never called out the moderators. People always ought to attack the media in politics.
Do you know what I thought? You know what I thought, Michael? I just thought at the end that he was a bit boring, Trump. And the one thing he cannot be is boring. Because the point of Trump is he's so different to every other.
He was defeated at this point. That's not what Piers Morgan is. What Piers Morgan is really saying is Trump knew he'd lost at that point. He'd probably given up. And to Michael Knowles' points here, Michael Knowles is a kook, first of all. There is no evidence of this so-called post-birth abortion. It's not happening. It's a thing that right-wingers are going to run with. And the fact checkers in the debate were absolutely correct to fact check Donald Trump on this crazy idea, as well as the Haitian immigrants eating dogs and cats and all of this. We finally had a debate where the moderators actually stood up to Trump and fact checked him on these things. But MAGA and the right-wingers and Donald Trump are all going to cry. It's just like in sports. I really hate comparing sports to politics because it's a cliche, but it is just like sports. When a team loses, they didn't make their free throws or whatever, and they blame the refs. It's a loser mentality, and that's what Donald Trump and MAGA are, losers. And Michael Knowles is a loser as well, but he's going on Piers Morgan and just saying these lies to an audience of millions.
Every other politician. He either makes you laugh or he shocks you or he's combative or there's stuff always going on, which is compelling. I just didn't find Trump very compelling last night. I just felt that he was very repetitive and he got caught in various traps that were laid for him way too easily. But ultimately, I just thought he wasn't very entertaining either. So on every level, he wasn't Trump-like.
I agree there were a few moments where there should have been more pizzazz, but then don't forget when he was talking about the cats and the dogs and the Haitian migrants, which we're all calling it a discredited
Which
story.
is
But of course, there are
insane.
Springfield residents talking about this, and really all of the kind of evocative graphic details are really just there to call people's attention to the fact that Kamala Harris brought 300,000 people from a failed state with rampant cannibalism into the middle of America. That's something that most Americans don't like.
Okay, and then he just Michael Knowles throws out rampant cannibalism. So there are all these cannibals in Haiti coming to the United States. Again, any evidence of this anywhere from any source with any validity? No. So MAGA is just nothing but conspiracy theorists led by the conspiracy theorist in chief, Donald Trump.
When he did get a little spicier, he had some good lines about sending Kamala Harris a MAGA hat and how her economic policy that she stole from Biden and from him amounted to run, spot, run. There were some decent lines. I just felt he had to get aggressive in a different way, and he especially has to get aggressive on the moderators if they're going to intervene.
Yeah, because I don't think he's worked out quite how to do that with Kamala Harris. I mean, bring in Brian. I mean, Brian, look, I think it was a clear win for her. I think also the fact that Taylor Swift, the biggest pop star on the planet, arguably ever, has come out with such a ringing, emphatic endorsement when many people thought she may just avoid doing that altogether. Everyone kind of
actual position be known. And so because this guy is incapable of telling the truth, because he has to wield lies on a daily basis, because every time he opens his mouth, he has to spew disinformation and misinformation, he screwed himself here. And so he's the one that's going to be hurt from all of this. But moving back to just something that I think Michael said and Cenk said, Cenk started off very rightly talking about how Republicans and Donald Trump seem unhinged by perpetuating these ideas that dogs and cats
in a different way. And he especially
audience is Gen
in such an emphatic way. Well, she did, and she chose Kamala's big win night to do it. So a double win, I think, for Kamala Harris, especially with young women who would have been.
Here we'll take a look at a bit of what Brian Taylor Cohen had to say.
Watching that debate, heard all the abortion stuff, saw Taylor Swift's comments and so on. But, and it's an important but really, this race is absolutely wafer thin. I had Nate Silver from 538 on last week saying it literally is as close as it could possibly be. Do you really think that this will move the needle in the race? Or has it, what it's really done, has it given the Democrats more impetus, particularly after the debate debacle with Joe Biden?
Do I really think that Taylor Swift's endorsement, where her biggest audience is Gen Z, which is the smallest vote, which is the biggest voting bloc, but the voting bloc in which the fewest people vote, and she just posted to millions of people a voter registration link in her Instagram? Do I think that that will have an impact in this election where the margins are probably going to be decided by tens of thousands or just thousands of votes? Absolutely. And I think that we should take advantage of every opportunity that we get. It's important to note, too, that Donald Trump forced her hand. This was an unforced error because he was so desperate to lie about accepting her endorsement by posting some AI Swifties for Trump photo. He couldn't help himself but lie. And so that forced her hand in terms of then going out there and saying, look, I don't know if I would have said anything, but because there was manipulated video, manipulated photos out there, I thought the right course of action was to correct the record and let my actual position be known. And so because this guy is incapable of telling the truth, because he has to wield lies on a daily basis, because every time he opens his mouth, he has to spew disinformation and misinformation, he screwed himself here. And so he's the one that's going to be hurt from all of this. But moving back to just something that I think Michael said and Cenk said, Cenk started off very rightly talking about how Republicans and Donald Trump seem unhinged by perpetuating these ideas that dogs and cats are being eaten and that women are having post-birth abortions. And the first thing that Michael does when he comes on here is perpetuate these exact claims. Look, you guys can do this
and
until you're blue in the face.
With evidence.
I don't know how to
substantiate them with evidence. He presents no evidence. He just says these things about post-birth abortions and that Haitians are cannibals and these things. He doesn't cite any source or anything, Michael Knowles.
Convey the extent to which when Republicans say this kind of stuff, it does not resonate with normal people. And you seem crazy. And Donald Trump went out there on stage, got laughed at by the entire nation. And then, Michael, you come on here and you do the exact same thing. So please, triple down on this, quadruple down on this, make this election a referendum on this bogus notion that women are executing their babies after they're born. I beg of you, we'll see how that works out.
Okay.
And Michael Knowles Brian Tyler Cohen is exactly right in his rebuttal to Michael Knowles. Normal people look at them as freaks and weirdos and nut jobs.
Well, Brian, just to respond briefly, Brian, all I did was refer to the law that Kamala Harris's running mate passed as the governor of Minnesota, the position that he currently holds. So, if you think that sounds crazy or wild, or I don't know what to tell you, then I suppose we're living in different countries. I think Cenk made a much better point than Ryan just made. And Cenk's point was that Americans want change. They don't like the status quo. And I think that's absolutely true. And I do think this was the missed opportunity of the debate. The status quo is Kamala Harris.
Right.
She's the vice president. She's been imbued with presidential authority on immigration and other issues. So the change agent is Donald Trump here. That's what the debate's got to be about.
Donald Trump was president for 4 years. How do they still, these pundits like Michael Knowles, still try to peddle this idea that Donald Trump is an outsider and the change candidate and all of that, when he was already president? He's not an anti-establishment figure.
That's what the election focus has to be about.
But actually, most viewers would have had the complete opposite impression. I mean, somehow, miraculously, Cenk, I thought Kamala Harris managed to present herself as the change option here, given the fact she's been VP for nearly 4 years is extraordinary. Ben Shapiro, your great friend, tweeted this: "This debate won't matter. The American people still know nothing about Kamala Harris's positions. Donald Trump is still Donald Trump, and the legacy media are still a giant flaming dog turd."
Okay, so first of all, I'm enjoying everybody saying that I'm right. Thank you, guys. So in this debate, Kamala Harris, the right wing is saying, manipulated Donald Trump into being dumb and saying dumb things. Well, what does that tell you about Donald Trump? I mean, really, guys, you know it too if you're a right winger. He got manipulated that easily. He's such a spoiled little child. The minute you mention his toy, which is the rallies, he's like, no, my rallies are bigger than your rallies. Come on, you're running for president, brother. Be a little bit bigger than that. But he can't help himself. He's a tiny, weak man. That's why he was baited so easily. His mind is weak. So look, as the conservatives here talking about post-birth abortion, really name one case in the entire country where a woman had a baby and then executed it, and the state said, oh, that's totally okay. We allow post-birth abortions.
There were 8 cases.
You can't name one case
under
because it's never happened, and you guys sound absolutely nuts when you say it. So I agree with Brian. Keep saying nutso things. In fact, hold on, I'm not done yet. Hold on. And then now they're attacking the moderators. Attacking the moderators is so weak. First of all, there's no crying in politics. So when you cry about the moderators, you're just telling everybody we lost the debate. Thank you for admitting it. Second of all, now some right-wing media loons are talking about arresting the ABC moderators and shutting down ABC. Okay, do you know how pathetic and unhinged you sound when you make statements like that? First of all, what happened to free press? I thought you guys were in favor of free speech. All of a sudden, when your feelings get hurt, shut down the whole network, arrest it. What happened to cancel culture? Okay, so look, guys, if you don't want people to think you're going to be nuts and dictatorial, don't say things like, we're going to arrest debate moderators for doing fact checks. And don't say that people are eating cats and dogs and they're cannibals, as Michael said. What are you talking about? Look, anyway, Brian's right. Keep going, guys.
All right, let me bring...
All right, so I'm going to stop here. And Cenk Uygur is exactly right with what he's saying. The Republicans at this point, this is who they are, led by their god king, Donald Trump. They're a completely unhinged fringe party of lunatics. And Michael Knowles is definitely one of these people. Tomi Lahren is as well. She seems reasonable here with what she's saying, but she has all kinds of nutty ideas as well. And Tomi Lahren and Michael Knowles are just showing it here on Piers Morgan's show how crazy and unhinged Republicans are today. Michael Knowles continues to double down on this thing of the post-birth abortion, which there's no evidence of at all. This isn't happening anywhere. And Cenk Uygur is exactly correct about this. Donald Trump blew it in this debate by being Donald Trump, being unhinged, throwing out conspiracy theories and lies because that's who he is. But what do you think? What do you think about this debate here on Piers Morgan's show? Do you think Cenk Uygur and Tyler Cohen, we saw a little bit of him here, got the best of Michael Knowles and Tomi Lahren, these two MAGA far-right wingers? And I'm going to throw Piers Morgan in there as well. He's not as far-right as them, but I think he is right-wing. UK viewers and listeners, let me know. But who do you think won here? Make sure to give me a comment about Piers Morgan show, Cenk Uygur, Michael Knowles, Tomi Lahren, Tyler Cohen, whatever you think about these figures. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. This channel is growing really quickly. I want it to continue to grow so I can bring out more content like this. And your likes, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. That really helps me to continue to bring out more content like this. This is Chris on Culture. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you in the next one.